Welcome to NARAL's The Morning After. Each Thursday, our podcast brings you the latest on reproductive health care, progressive politics, and the fight to keep abortion safe and legal. NARAL's The Morning After is a production of NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at ProChoiceOH. Enjoy the show.
I'm Gabe.
I'm Elena.
I'm Kelley.
Welcome, Kelley.
Yay.
Who are you? How did you get in here?
Some stranger. They turns out when you ring the doorbell, they answer. No, I'm the new Central and Southern Ohio organizer for NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio.
You are the new Randy.
Yes. Well, okay. Yes. I like to think of myself as Kelley, but maybe I can just answer to new Randy.
Yes. So after Randy left us for Georgia, we've
You've hired another Georgian.
Yes. Really?
Yeah, I'm from the same area.
I honestly did not know that.
Oh yeah, we're both from Georgia. I kind of identify more as a South Carolinian because I moved there after my freshman year of high school.
Okay.
Through college, and then I've been in Ohio since 2014. But yeah, both from Georgia.
Oh, okay. Well, cool.
Yeah.
I wasn't in on the
nothing about me.
A little bit because I wasn't in on the interviews for hiring the position, so I didn't get to hear all of the things about your background. So tell us more about you.
Sure. Like I said, I'm from the South. I've been in Columbus since 2014. I moved up here for a job that I clearly no longer have.
That's okay. You got a new one.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited about this one. I went to the University of South Carolina Honors College. My degree is in Russian, which is very useful. No, not really.
No.
And out of college, I worked for the Secular Student Alliance, which brought me up here, which is in a nutshell, it's like a gay straight alliance, but for atheists and agnostics. So they're a campus organization that organizes atheist, agnostic, and non-religious students.
Okay.
And then after that, I worked at an abortion clinic, and then I worked with Planned Parenthood on the campaign this past election cycle, and now I'm here. But I mean, other than that, I do a lot of volunteering. I'm on the committee to plan reproductive health happy hours here in Columbus.
When is the next one?
Dang. I don't know if there's going to be one planned for July.
Ooh, okay.
But the next one I will actually be able to attend, and that will be August 22nd at Growl. And I will either have a tiny newborn or be so pregnant that I will harm somebody.
Right.
So.
Yes.
So you're a rock star volunteer, and is that how you got connected to NARAL?
We're
all new here.
Probably.
So I'm trying to learn everyone as well.
I mean, I show up where people ask me to, and they seem to like me and keep inviting me to come back.
That's like 80% of success.
I know.
Said.
Just show up.
I think those garage remarks. So
Yogi Berra, one of those.
So your first week on the job with us was eventful.
Yeah, you guys have thrown me in the deep end.
Yeah, it was also Elena's. It might have been before your official first day on the job, or was that day one?
I think that was day one. I don't know if the morning counted as work for me, and then I transitioned midday.
Right.
Yeah.
But so you were a handmaid. You want to talk about your handmade experience?
Sure. Actually, that plan came together at my baby shower.
Love that.
Yeah. Michelle was the one who planned my baby shower. And then, of course, because it turns out when you're friends with mostly abortion advocates, what happens at a baby shower is mostly talking about more abortion advocacy.
Right.
So Jamie and Stephanie Craddock Sherrod, Women Have Options, and Michelle, they were all there. And there had been some talk of doing something like Texas and what they had done. And it came together that they were going to do it at my baby shower. And then Stephanie and I, the Tuesday night before we first did the first protest, was we made a lot of bonnets, and it took slightly more and slightly less time than you anticipated. Okay. As any craft project will.
The capes came from just a costume store.
Yeah, those are just purchased maybe from Party City, maybe from Amazon. I'm not sure. But we handmade all the bonnets with fusing and fabric and hand stitched buttons and elastic.
Wow. And Stephanie got a lot of requests for a how-to guide of how to make the bonnets.
Yeah, which she has made and published on the Women Have Options website. And I know it's been utilized by people in South Carolina and maybe people as far as Ireland, because they have a big abortion reform that's in the works, I think.
Apparently, there are women as handmaids that are following Donald Trump around the streets of Poland like today.
Yes.
So it's been snowballing. So since we're on handmaids as a topic here, just to park it, Elena, we talked with you on your first podcast. You were one of the handmaids, and since then you've been interviewed by the New York Times.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Sure. Yeah, I was really glad to be part of the larger conversation that's happening in this country of women who are being absolutely resilient and resistant in their own ways, and have been able to express that through the Handmaid's Tale, and being able to dress up and really embody what it means. That's what's happening today with all the restrictions on women's lives. And so I was able to talk about that with the New York Times and be part of, like I said, the larger conversation of this is just happening all around the country, just women rising up and realizing that, here's one really effective way to bring attention to, restrictions on women's bodies and lives. And so I really find it very powerful to be part of, a silent protest that then speaks volumes. And so that's been a great tactic that we've used here in the Ohio State House. And I know that's just going to continue to ripple throughout the world.
Right. No, it's been, I think, a very effective, I don't know that it gets the other side. It's not always the clearest message for the other side, but it's definitely something to build our supporters around.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that they don't understand foreshadowing or a metaphor, or it's some of the comments have been really weird.
Well, they also
and accusing us of melodrama. It's like, oh, okay, sure.
Right. They also don't understand the damage that occurs when you take away healthcare or access to safe abortion care for women. So there's several disconnects on many levels. I don't think it was limited to, hey, what are these costumes? So then the next thing you did with us was you did the Doodah Parade.
Yes, that was on Tuesday on the 4th of July, and it was very hot and very humid. And it was a big collection of handmaids, but having worn that polyester red cloak 3 times so far, I didn't really want to wear it again because it's very warm. So I opted to dress up as Lady Liberty and march with the handmaids, and it was a good time.
That is brilliant.
Yeah,
Pregnant Lady Liberty. That says it all.
Yeah, I got a lot of good feedback. I got a lot of people take pictures, and it was a lot easier to flip the fabric over my belly and cool myself down.
So the Doodah Parade, for those who haven't been to it, is Columbus's irreverent 4th of July parade. Every July 3rd, we do the red, white, and boom here in town, and it's the very straightforward. Yes, the Doodah Parade it just turns everything on its head. There's a less than grand marshal for the parade. There's the marching Fidels, people who dress up as Fidel Castro, which I think they said that this might be the last time since Castro is now dead. It's just as wacky as you want to be. So the sexy handmaids, I think, fit in real well. There was somebody else who did take on the Melissa McCarthy as Sean Spicer driving the podium.
Mobile podium. There were several, at least 7 Trumps, I think. So it's definitely very irreverent. I feel like if people don't like the 4th of July because it's too patriotic, then Doodah's where they need to be. I went to my first Doodah in 2011 when I was interning with an organization up here, and I was just absolutely delighted because you don't really necessarily get those in the more conservative parts, like being from South Carolina. So it was just a nice way to enjoy a holiday where I didn't feel disingenuous or upset or because there's a difference between the rah America's number one, and then there are actually genuine problems with this country, but we still got work to do, and we're still here to do the work. So
Right.
I appreciate the doodah for what it is.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if I'm too serious for it. Just because, like, people are like, we want funny, and I'm like, I want funny, but I also want heartfelt. So
yeah, I think it's a different kind of patriotism. It definitely takes pride in our country, but it's much more of the, hey, we have the First Amendment, we're going to use the hell out of it sort of way. So it was cool that you guys did that. And then you're just nonstop with events. Yesterday, you were at the State House to rally to save Medicaid.
Yeah, there was a really good turnout. It was maybe 400 or 500 people around lunchtime at the State House, which is like, it's not the easiest thing to get to the State House at lunchtime on Wednesday. So it was pretty heartening to see that many people and see that many people like invested and actually like care about the issue. Yeah, we ran into the Med Students for Choice at Ohio State, ran into a few Planned Parenthood people, and it was nice.
Yeah, and I was really encouraged to see so many faith leaders who are present there. Some of you may know I'm with the Ohio Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice, and so it's really great when I get to see faith leaders stepping up, getting out into the streets, getting beyond their pews to really care about the issues that are affecting people's lives, and so for them to be present and to protect Medicaid.
There was at least one faith leader speaking, maybe two. So yeah, they were definitely out and about.
And Ohio RCRC was participating in some of the phone banks yesterday as well.
Yeah, it was really exciting to actually meet some of those faith leaders who were at the rally. They then showed up at a phone bank last night. And here I am just surrounded by these great clergy who, dialing at the phone and announcing themselves as reverend and whatnot, and, calling people, urging them to contact their legislators and have them vote no against the Medicaid freeze and override. And so, I just think that's really powerful when you have so many people from all walks of life coming together and saying that it's a moral and it's a economic and it's a reproductive justice issue to protect healthcare. And so that happened last night at the phone bank, where it wasn't just faith in public life. NARAL was there, represented through their board. We were there. We also had Physicians Action Network and Progressive Ohio. And it's just, this is what it takes. If we're going to build a movement, it takes all of us. And so that happened. And I think that's the success that we saw today, that, the State House decided to back off on,
Right.
Medicaid.
Because they so to get into the policy, they passed the budget last week. Take a detour on this. The first part of the budget that we've addressed as an organization is the $1 million for crisis pregnancy centers. When Kasich issued his first version of the budget, when it was just a bill draft, and it came out in February, the governor always gets to, take the first swing at writing a budget. He wrote that, did not have any money allocated for crisis pregnancy centers. We were pleasantly surprised. Because this is $1 million, the previous budget took $1 million out of TANF funds, the temporary assistance for needy families, $1 million that should be going to, I think Jamie talked about it last week on the show, it's cash assistance for people who desperately need it. It's kind of like food stamps, although it is money that you can apply to pay your bills, pay your rent. Make a car payment so that you don't lose your family's own source of transportation that gets you to a job. It's very valuable to the families who need it, and it is temporary. So it's not some, permanent handout. It's, oh crap, our family, really needs just a little bit of help to get by. That's this fund, the TANF fund. And so to divert $1 million of that to crisis pregnancy centers that lie to women who are seeking answers about pregnancy, a lot of people feel that is, a completely immoral thing and a waste of tax dollars.
Oh, absolutely. And especially when they don't provide any kind of real medical care. And, women deserve better than that. And so we really need to be funding efforts where we're really looking at the complex choices that women are having to make. And so we need to be funding programs that actually address those things and provide for real needs. And
Right.
crisis pregnancy centers are not that. I mean, it's
Right.
a wedge issue at best.
Yes. So the first version of the budget did not have money for crisis pregnancy centers. Ohio Right to Life and several of these centers, the directors all testified. We testified against funding for CPCs. But, Ohio Right to Life wanted their pound of flesh that they had purchased and had this money put back in stages. And so it was $200,000, and then it became like $600,000, and then in the end, it was back up to the $1 million across the 2-year cycle that will now go to crisis pregnancy centers.
Does it still come from TANF?
Yes. So, I mean, that is really crappy that is included in this budget. We fought against it. We were, in terms of good news, the silver lining is that was the only thing negative in the budget. There were no additional abortion restrictions that legislators have crammed in as amendments in the past 3 budget cycles. So, not that we're counting it as a win, that, we still lost on crisis pregnancy centers, but it wasn't as bad as it has been in previous budget cycles. So that's where we stand on crisis pregnancy centers. Of course, we're asking everybody to contact their legislators and let them know, hey, I don't approve of this use of, TANF dollars. But the other big issue, and this is why you were rallying, was the state of Ohio expanded Medicaid in the previous budget cycle. And we all want to see that expansion continue. We want to make sure that low-income Ohioans have access to this expanded Medicaid option that Obamacare opened up, and that Ohio chose to act on 2 years ago. The budget draft, as passed by the legislature, blocked Medicaid expansion, and Kasich vetoed the block, right? It's like some logic puzzle. Yes, that was a good thing. Yes. His veto there was good. And then we're rallying at the State House to uphold the veto, right?
Yeah, basically asking legislators to not try and override the veto.
Right.
Because they probably would have had enough votes if they had really wanted to do that. They met this morning while you were on the road to Dayton. Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, we know the conclusion of this now. So the House and Senate got called in, which is unusual. Normally, after they pass the budget and it gets signed on June 30th, it has to be signed by June 30th according to law. Normally, they leave and they're done for the summer, and they do not come back. I mean, they've got like the cushiest summer break of anything you've ever seen. They don't come back for anything, but they came back today. The House and the Senate both met. They took votes on 11 budget-related veto overrides, 5 of which were, I think, party line votes on Medicaid issues. But they did not override the veto on Medicaid expansion. So as of today, July 6th, Medicaid expansion still stands, which is good.
Yeah.
Yes. And hey, today is my birthday, so I will take that. It is.
You guys are full of surprises. Happy birthday.
It's, I got my wish. We got to protect Medicaid, and, that's just the way it has to be.
Right. Because it would have removed access to care for 500,000 people across the state of Ohio. I mean, this is a huge win for people looking to gain access to healthcare. I don't understand why on earth you would campaign, and run for elected office on a platform of trying to remove access to healthcare for people, but yet here they are.
And mind you, these are, the lawmakers who tout family values. And so that's what's really interesting about all the people who are lobbying Kasich to, to cut Medicaid is, you have your Ohio Christian Alliance and you have the Koch brothers who are all funding these efforts to make sure that there's a Medicaid for kids and seniors and
Right. The
differently
Ohio
abled.
Christian Alliance
Yes.
doesn't want kids to have access
Exactly.
to healthcare.
So how is that, part of family values? And so I'm really, proud that Kasich did the right thing this time.
Yes.
And vetoed it.
This was good. And I think when I look at this, I not only answer or ask myself, is he doing this for his own personal motivations? And he has spoken about that fairly sincerely. But then I'm also looking at, in 2020, somebody's probably going to challenge Trump in a presidential primary. Is Kasich going to be the one? Is he going to be one of many? And certainly this is going to be a major campaign issue that I think is going to begin quite a large discussion within the Republican Party of, hey, do we actually stand for helping people the way that some have said that we should? Or, do Republicans as a party, I'm using the we to refer to they, do Republicans as a party not have an interest in helping people, not die from catastrophic injury or illness?
It would be nice if healthcare actually became a bipartisan issue again.
Right? Yeah. So that's the budget. And then the last thing on your tour of Ohio that we have to talk about.
In a week, of course.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm going to Cleveland tomorrow, so it's not done yet.
Is you got to meet Sherrod Brown.
I did. That was pretty cool. He was also a Russian studies major in undergrad. Yeah, he studied Russian. So I was like, hey, I was a Russian major too. And so we chatted about Pushkin and how hard it is to keep up with Russian if you don't actually keep up with it. So
did you two speak Russian to each other?
He talks very fast. So I don't know if I would have understood if he had said anything to me in Russian, but it was just oh, you are speaking I'm from the South, but I'm not a slow talker. I'm just not. But he speaks fast even for me. And I was just I don't, So it felt a little weird, but it was pretty cool.
That's unexpected because he also has this low, gravelly voice that catches people off guard the first time they hear it. They think that he's got some terrible cold, and it's just how he talks. It's just low. I can't even do.
I didn't think he had a cold. I was just I just assumed that's how he talks, and I'm glad to confirm that it is how he talks.
But do you want to talk about the event? It wasn't just and Sherrod having coffee.
No, it was not. It was at Dayton Children's Hospital, and it was about the repeals and what they're trying to do with the Affordable Care Act, and so he spoke, and then I think the president of the hospital spoke, and then there was a story from this woman who had twins. And was having a very difficult pregnancy, and I think she ended up giving birth at 35 weeks, which is preterm.
Yes.
And her first son came out with the cord wrapped around his neck. He was unable to cry. He wasn't breathing. So it was it was a very hard pregnancy, a very scary birth, and how she was able to she has not had a bill from the hospital for from her pregnancy, from her appointments, from her birth, from all of these terrible things that have happened because of what the Affordable Care Act has been able to do, and how that would essentially be impossible with some of the appeals that they're trying to have happen with the Affordable Care Act, which resonates with me because I'm also pregnant. I'll be 35 weeks in 2 weeks. Right. So it was a good event. It was a really there's a lot at stake if the Senate manages to pass what they're trying to pass with regards to Obamacare, a lot of bad things in general.
Right. It would be an additional 22 million people losing access to healthcare, which could pay for things like hospital bills if you do decide to have kids.
Yeah, and if you don't lose health insurance, you could still have the return of pre-existing conditions, which does include basically just being a woman or having a uterus.
Right.
Yay. Yeah, so it's just and then there's tax cuts for the 400 most wealthy families that amount to $7 million.
Right.
So it's just a lot of bad things that Senator Brown is voting against. So that's good.
Yes, Sherrod Brown is a terrific champion. The idea of losing access to healthcare just so that and for decades, the cliche person who's like, oh, rich people like Donald Trump. And he never really used that example as being also the president, but yet he's still rich and would still get a massive tax cut. Removing healthcare to give Donald Trump a tax cut just is the most insane thing you've ever heard about. My kids were both born, one at 35 weeks and one at 36. The older kid spent 2 weeks in the NICU in the hospital while we just waited. They were both preterm, but my older one just needed some more time to help lung development and all of that. So he was just hanging out in the hospital. And I think because we've got really great insurance, at the end of all of that, our bill was like $25.
Wow.
And I've had other friends who have had health insurance who, had a birth in a hospital that was, without complication. And because of whatever their health insurance was, with insurance, it was, $2,000 to $3,000. And they're making payments for quite some time. If Ohio Right to Life wants to do things to help people have kids and not have it be, a financial burden, making sure that they have access to insurance that covers the cost of birth.
Yeah. It's
pretty basic.
Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have a healthy, if frustrating and uncomfortable pregnancy. So I can't even imagine what it would be like to have a crisis pregnancy, like where things are not going well or very badly at that.
Right. Yeah. I saw one of each, one that went smoothly and one that was like, this is terrifying.
Yeah.
And after doing that more terrifying birth, it was like, I think I'm a NARAL person. Because if you didn't want to do this voluntarily,
oh my God, tell me about it.
The idea of forcing a woman to go through a terrifying birth. I mean, from the point of view of the guy standing beside her, it was like, no, we got to come up with some solutions to this.
I mean, pregnancy is hard on your body regardless of healthy or not.
We know what you mean.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know what word I'm supposed to use there. I mean, I had morning sickness until like 20 weeks. Like, I did not have a good time. I have not enjoyed this. And I would be very unhappy if it was not something I wanted to do.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And then adding the idea of financial burden on top of that is just, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're estimating like increases of 400% for maternal care.
Right.
If whatever the new bill they're trying to pass is passed.
Yeah. And what's already difficult is you can't get an estimate from a hospital of exactly what childbirth is going to cost.
Yeah, there's no set costs for anything. Even from hospital to hospital, it doesn't really, like, you can't ask for an estimate because it's going to be different based on their own internal prices. Like, there's no magical list. And then there's just an additional complications that could come up. So you don't get a standard birth or standard birth price. It's just,
right.
Well, we'll see what happens when you're done.
Right.
I guess.
Yippee.
Yeah. Only 6 more weeks of terror.
Okay. Well, good luck with that. And on that note, let's talk about how people can get involved. So let's do the Let's Get It On event calendar. The first thing up is actually something tonight. So if you listen to the podcast, there's an Ohio RCRC event. What's up?
Yeah, we're really excited to help promote an event up in Cleveland that's actually happening this evening at 5:30. But I think it's well worth it if you can make it. It's actually an event with the ACLU and with the Clergy Consultation Service, which I just think is brilliant. That here are two groups coming together, and they're going to tell an untold story of the movement, which is about how religious leaders, long before Roe v. Wade was the law of the land, religious leaders from around the country organize their own underground support network to give women access to abortion care. And I just think that's phenomenal. That that is a part of our legacy, and is something that I think we need to hold on to. Again, is capture the moral and the faith voices that are very much in support of reproductive justice, and that includes abortion care. And so that event tonight will discuss that legacy and what's next for them.
Right. So this, the event, if you go to our Facebook page, you can find information about this. Tonight at 5:30, it's at the ACLU of Ohio's Cleveland headquarters. And so then next week, we've got a great opportunity with Ladyparts Justice. This is their event at Mahal's in Lakewood. It's the Vaginal Mystery Tour hosted by Liz Winstead.
Yeah, I'm really jealous. I want to go.
We should go.
Well, it's a long drive and my feet are swelling.
I'll drive you.
Yes. Yeah, no, I love Liz Winstead's work. And I really like, I mean, I do stand-up comedy in my free time sometimes.
Oh.
Yeah, so it'd be cool.
She's hosting this along with Aida Rodriguez, Showtime Shaq's All-Star Comedy Jam host. So it should be really terrific. That's Thursday, July 13th at Mahal's in Lakewood. And then the next thing after that is our Cleveland office is hosting a mini golf event on July 20th in Cleveland. It's actually in the town of, I think, North Ridgeville. So it's at a putt-putt place. And they're kind of doing this just like the bowl-a-thon, where you form a team, you do some fundraising. As long as you raise over $50, you can have a putt-putt team. And you know, come and compete just like a golf tournament.
But way more fun than a golf tournament.
Yes, because it's mini golf.
Yeah.
So in Cleveland, July 20th, and then a second one, the next one will be in Toledo on August 5th. Information on our Facebook page, click on the events tab. And then the last thing we're doing in the month of July is the Pride Festival in Youngstown. So this was Annie's, but did you help out with our Pride booth?
No, I was being a counter protester at Pride.
Oh, okay. You were causing trouble.
No, maybe.
No, maybe.
Maybe a little bit.
Okay. But so if you're in Youngstown, part of their LGBTQ or ally community, check us out at the Pride Festival on July 29th. So how'd you like being on the podcast very first time?
So far, so good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
You're running laps around us. Dang, 1 week.
I've been on my feet and they look so gross.
Okay. Well, welcome aboard, and we'll see everybody next week.
If you want to volunteer.
Oh, yeah, if you want to volunteer.
Because I want to meet all my volunteers and I want to have cool things going on in Columbus and all the cities, really.
Yes.
I've gotten to Dayton, I've gotten to Columbus, now I got to get to Cincinnati and Athens. But if you want to volunteer with me, you can email me at volunteer@prochoiceohio.org.
Yes, do that.
Please.
Okay, good catch. And then we'll see everybody next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.